Okay, so I just watched one of the wildest, spooky, scary stories on one of my favorite podcasts ever, and I'm going to share a clip from it with you here.
Along the beach for about a half mile, something caught her attention. There was a box near the shore. She was about 20 yards away from this wooden crate that was covered in seaweed, and the water had pushed it up against some rocks, but it was gently moving with the waves. It was big, and although she couldn't tell exactly what it was from where she stood because she was too far away, she was curious. So she worked up the courage and slowly opened the lid, and she could not believe what was inside because it was a woman's body. She said the woman was very pale, she didn't look right, she was wearing what she would describe as Little House on the Prairie clothes. What struck her as more strange was the woman was completely dry, and she was on a cushion lining, and the coffin didn't seem watertight, like the wood was warped. It seemed old and like it had been in the water forever, so none of this made sense in her brain. She stood a minute, so she happens to glance back down at the woman and is completely shocked because now this woman's eyes are open, but her eyes are completely black, although she...
It's crazy, right? And what struck me immediately was the similarity between this story and other ones from mythology and folklore. The big one, obviously, is Danae, the mother of Perseus from Greek mythology, who, along with her infant son, was set adrift on the ocean by her father because he feared a prophecy that his grandson would one day him. There's also Constance from Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. Side note, I published my first essay on this work in college about the wife of Bath. She's falsely accused of crimes by a rejected suitor, go figure, and as punishment she is placed in a casket with minimal food and sent out to sea. The Witch of Slewwallian, I don't know if I'm mangling that, from Manx folklore is one of my favorites, in which a wise woman is wrongly accused of causing a storm to destroy fishing, then placed in a barrel filled with spikes and rolled down a hill into the sea. And then many fairy tales, including regional variants of stories like The Six Swans or The Girl Without Hands, including, again, Pentamerone, I don't know if I'm saying that right, by Giovanni Battista Basile, which, yes, is in the book of Italian fairy tales I'm reading right now. And no, I did not plan that connection. Involve a queen, wrongly accused of doing something monstrous, like eating her own children, say, and being cast into the water in a barrel or a box. Yeah, it's very prevalent in tales about witches or women who are accused of being witches or doing something along the lines of witchy and demonic and evil, which witches were all believed to be back then. However, if you have read Dracula or watched any of the dozens of movies, versions of the story, you know that this whole coffin washing up on the shore with a mysterious person inside is a big motive in vampire lore as well. Quick disclaimer, this next part contains a popular TV show spoiler, so if you don't want that, just skip ahead. Some of these are like Angel, where the season 3 finale features are, brooding Nightwalker getting trapped in a coffin-like cage and dumped in the ocean, and movies like The Old Guard. But my favorite one comes from Southern folklore, and it's the story of the Casket girls from New Orleans. For those of you who are not familiar, basically that story says that in the 1720s, a group of young women arrived from France with their belongings stored in these shallow coffin-like trunks. However, legend suggests that these boxes were actually used to transport vampires across the water, and that they are currently stored in the old Ursuline convent, which is also thought to be haunted, and that anyone who tries to open the caskets will release a curse upon mankind. And there is actually historical evidence to support this figure in the casket could be either a witch or a vampire. So first we have an accused witch named Lilius, I'm not sure how to say that either, I'm sorry. Addie was buried in the mud at low tide in the 5th of Forth in Scotland in 1704, after dying in prison with a heavy stone placed over her grave. Although it does look like her remains were later either destroyed or sold in the 19th century, but maybe that's just what they said to explain why she disappeared. And archaeologists have discovered numerous vampire burials near the Black Sea, including in Sozopol, Bulgaria, and Venice Lagoon, Italy. And now all of these corpses were found in coffins with iron or wooden rods driven into certain parts of their anatomy, or bricks in their mouth to prevent them from returning from the sea to feast on the living. Also, while none of these burials actually took place at sea, quote unquote, they were all close enough to major bodies of ocean water that it's possible that one or more coffins could have eventually, through time and erosion, floated out into open water and washed up somewhere else. So what do y'all guys think this girl found? Oh, was it a witch? Was it a vampire? Was it something else? Let me know in the comments.